friends. Welcome back to Connectedness. I'm so glad you're here. If you're listening for a while, you know that this podcast lives in the intersection of relationships, belonging, and the moments in life that ask us to rebuild who we are. Today, we are talking about one of the biggest transitions a person can go through, and it's one that touches nearly everyone I know in some way, which is divorce. My guest today is Nicole Bright, and she's the founder of the Nicole Bright brand, and she's a strategic decision advisor during divorce and a transformational speaker who helps high achieving women hold on to clarity, composure, and control during one of the most disorienting seasons of their lives. She built this strategy after living through the end of her own 17-year marriage, and she brings both personal insight and lived experiences to every conversation she has with the women that she works with. What I love about Nicole's approach is that it isn't just about surviving divorce, it's about staying connected to yourself while everything else feels like it's shifting. That's exactly the kind of conversation we love to have here on Connectedness because rebuilding life after loss comes back to relationships, the one with yourself and the ones you choose to keep close. So let's get into it, Nicole. Thank you so much for being here. Um,
Thank you. Thank
thank
you.
you. So before we get into your work, I'd love for the listeners to understand where this all started. Can you take us back to the end of your 17-year marriage and what did that season actually feel like for you?
Wow. So it was March the 20th when everything exploded. I received a phone call and I learned things that I did not know, and my life totally exploded. But short story, by April 19th, I was out of the marital home. And now I know how much of a God moment that was, how much of a miracle that was. And I was doing strategic moves before I knew what they meant. And it was just, I took nothing. I would never tell my clients not to take anything, but I literally took hardly nothing with me. Did not have a vehicle. Had just got a job maybe 8 months beforehand because I didn't work a lot. I helped him with his business. I stayed at home with the kids. I had work here and there. But I had just got a stable job maybe 8 months before that afforded me to leave. But like I said, by April 19th, I was out of the home and very worried about my children because I always had that terminology in my head. I do not want my kids to have a broken home. But what I didn't realize at the time is they already had a broken home with two parents in it. So it wasn't about being split. It was about the spirit in the home and what was going on within the home. And a lot of things I had let happen within my life, lost my voice, very passive, and just allowing things to happen to me and not standing up for myself and not loving me and having such low self esteem. And so when I left, I had to regain all that. I had to understand who I was and that I had lost all that. So I
Mhm.
had to regain all that. And I had started coaching actually. I didn't really have a title on what kind of coach, but back then when I was married, I was helping women just like me, women that were married, had children and trying to juggle everything. And so when I did leave that marriage, I had no need. I couldn't do it anymore. And so I didn't have any clients, obviously, they were all gone. And so I reinvented what I wanted to do within the coaching field I was coaching back then. And so I became a divorce coach because I needed me when I was going through divorce. And so I always say I was my first client. And so I'll never forget when someone pulled me to the side. They're like, "Oh, you're doing so good." And I wasn't doing any coaching then. I was just doing my job on the weekends and having my kids through the weekdays. And so when they said I was doing so well, I'm like, I guess I am. And so I constructed the whole thing for divorce people and what I went through and what I knew they needed. And so that's how that began. So I did coaching, divorce coaching for years, but now I'm doing advising because of the new things that has happened in my life. And I always remember everything happens for a reason, and it makes you adjust, not just not just anything in your personal life, but things in your business too. As you flow, things go. And so that's basically how I came upon advising, which is a different angle than coaching. But I am strategically teaching women how to get through and thinking about the big picture. But yeah, so I talked a lot. So
Oh, that's good. So you kind of answered question number two already, even though I
okay.
hadn't asked it yet. But it, it- with can you tell us a little bit of a little bit deeper into what you just said about the difference between advising and coaching in the context of the divorce transition?
I knew that was going to happen. I knew you was going to ask. So I did write down definitions of what I used to do in coaching versus what I do now. So
Okay.
I'm going to actually read my thoughts. So I don't want to get it twisted because I know it's a very similar, but it's not. It aligns in certain ways. So when I was coaching, we were focusing on emotional support and self discovery, and I was helping them process and guide their thoughts with their own answers. And the ask was always this: what do you think you should do? It was getting them to that stability where they understood what they should do through all their emotions they were feeling. And we're exploring that. But with advisory, I help with strategic decisions. So it brings structure in, it brings insight in, and perspective in. But how I do that, I focus on outcome now. I focus on protecting what you have, and we focus on what direction you want to go in. And so our ask here is: here's what matters most, and let's decide wisely. So what I love about advising is we figure out our priorities, because when you're going through it, it feels like everything's so important. All the decisions are important. And so you're in that, your nervous system is, but what we do is we get clarity first to really figure out what is really important, because we think all those things are important and they're not at all important. And then you have the big picture thinking. That's what I call it. Is let's think about how this decision is going to be 10 years from now,
Mm,
because we're always making decisions in the present moment, right, for our present selves. But what about the self 10 years from now, especially when you're dealing with kids,
yeah.
especially. And I know I can touch on the lady's heartstrings because it's things you would do for your kids that you wouldn't even do for yourself. So maybe, even though you have such contingency with that ex-spouse, there's certain things you will give because of how the kids will be 10 years from now. What will this do for your kids? And so, even for yourself, it's like, so we make such decisions and stress. And I learned this, and I'm starting to speak on clarity, composure, and control within other avenues too, because we need it in every avenue. It's just not divorce. It's a whole thing. So I had someone recently like, can you advise me even in my life? I'm like, of course I can. I do specialize in divorce, but I realize that is a thing that we need throughout making decisions in life. And when people think of control, I may be getting ahead of us. I'm gonna
Yeah,
stop
'cause
talking.
I was gonna ask you about clarity, composure, and control, but you're getting ahead of it. It's okay. Um, it's okay, no worries. Before we get there, I have a question that's kind of a segue into the three C's, which is like what affected how like what surprised you about how divorce affected your own thinking and decision making, even though you were used to being the strong one, but when you were going through this difficult moment, were your decision making affected in I'm guessing maybe.
Well, the funny thing is, in my marriage, I was controlled by him. I was in
Mm,
a toxic, abusive relationship, physically and mentally. And everybody did come to me outside of the marriage for help. This is true. Even friends, family, I was the person that if you need something, come to me, I will counsel you. But in my own personal life, which I
Mm.
covered up a lot. I was not in control. I didn't have clarity. I didn't have any of that because I allowed him. Because listen, my low self esteem, and that's how I got in the situation I was in. Because my ex husband, he's an intelligent person, and I sought that out in a male because I didn't think I was capable of running my whole own life. I felt dumb, stupid, and ignorant. And I hid that. I hid that. But I knew because of other things that happened in my childhood, I knew that's how I felt about myself. But I would never get to that point where I would admit it. But I knew I was looking for somebody that could lead me. I call lead me, but it became control. And so when I stepped out and got divorced, I took my life back. That's how that affected me because even though I was advising everybody else or coaching everybody else, I was not coaching and leading me. I
Mm.
was allowing him to dictate and tell me things, and I felt safe in that. Even with the toxicness, I felt safe in that because of my low self-worth. And so I really took a lot of that back and I made all my own decisions. Well, I wasn't making daily decisions. I wasn't even deciding how my hair was or me wearing makeup, not wearing makeup, or what kind of clothes. It was all dictated. It was all
Wow.
dictated. Yeah. So yeah, it
I,
took me back. I didn't even know who me was.
you didn't even know. So you had to go through this transformation and find the three C's for yourself. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
so
Yeah.
tell us about the three C's. Walk us through what each of those mean in practice and things things that women can do.
So the three C's, I actually have to let you know the three C's came through a recent breakup.
Mm,
Um, through and when I moved, I made a big move from Michigan to Charlotte.
mhm,
And when I first moved, the first thing I prayed for was clarity.
mm,
And so I had a friend from Michigan. She's an ordained minister, and I don't go to church or anything anymore, anything like that. I'm a spiritual being, but I don't really. And so I knew what kind of foundation she had. So I'm like, okay, come on, pray with me. So I'm just using her, like, come on, let's pray for clarity. I wanted clarity in my business though. I was like, okay, I think I can tell God what to do. No. I said, okay, God, okay, don't mess in my personal life. Let's just get clarity for the business, right? And so I was going through a long distance relationship. He was back in Michigan. And long story short, that relationship did not survive the move. And I was like, oh my God. So God gave me clarity in my personal life first. And then it followed in the business by creating what I created. And so I needed to see what was going on with myself and I needed to reset my life. And so that's how you're walking through a fog and you can only see so far ahead of you. And it's kind of like a faith walk. And that's what I had to learn. Like I may have not seen everything all at once,
mm,
but I seen 5 feet ahead of me. So I'm going to walk that and I'm clear with that. Then I seen 10 feet ahead of me. It's just teaching patience and being able to separate your emotions from logic.
mm,
And so that's one of the first activities I do to find clarity because we're on an emotional roller coaster when we decide to leave that person. And I deal with women right after they decide to file for divorce or divorce is filed on them, just depending on the situation. And they're at that moment where they know it's happening, but it's like, okay, you're all over the place. You're stressed out. You're unsure. And so I always tell people I work with you having a lawyer, with you having a therapist, because getting this clarity, composure, and control, it helps all your relationships because it's a foundation of what you need to do. And so I always have them have these decision making things, right? So, okay, so tell me 5 decisions you have to make. And so we write down those 5 decisions, we separate the emotions from the logic and we come up with things. And so then the middle state with composure, we make those grounding statements from those things we have separated that will ground you in your decision. Although many times you decide to leave your marriage, you still, after you make those moves and you file, you're still like, Should I have done that? And you're still second guessing yourself. So what a grounding statement does is it helps you ground it in what you decision you've already made.
Mm.
And it's so needed. I don't know one person that doesn't second guess it even a little bit, even if it's been an abusive, controlling relationship. You kind of think, well, maybe it was something more I could have did. Maybe we could have went to counseling, maybe this and that, you know. And so
Yeah.
those grounding statements really help you. And then when you get to control, and people think I'm talking about ruling the world, but no, control is about recognizing what you can control and what you can't.
Mm.
And I'm all about prioritizing things too. Because sometimes I know people don't like to backburn things. Sometimes you got to backburn things and leave it and know what you can handle right now. Stop trying to take everything and put it on your plate. So we prioritize things. We talk about, what matters right now. And, and control is what you can control because some things you can't. Them some things is just like out of your control. And it really gives you peace. And when we're at the control stage, you start making a roadmap to where you're going to go in the future, because my program is 12 weeks. And after the 12 weeks, you're definitely going to have a clearer view what's going on in your life. You're definitely going to know how to mainstream yourself, and you're definitely going to know what I can deal with and what I can't, and how do I adjust to those
Mhm.
things and continue that roadmap ahead. And I always do a check-in. So I do a check-in maybe 3 months later, and it's a free check-in. They come and see me, they talk to me. And if they need my service further, we'll make a new program for them. We'll talk about it. But hopefully there's flying and they're using the tools that we learned within the 12 weeks. And that's my goal, not to keep everybody forever. I had a client one time when I was coaching for 2 years. I'm not, I don't really, if you need me, I'm there for you. But my whole purpose is to get you to a point where you can do these things. When you're with a therapist, you stay longer. But with me, I want to organize your life and help you get back on the right path and help you have a healthy relationship in the future. Because people think because I help women in divorce, I'm against marriage. No, my whole purpose, if you want to be married again, to get you back in that state to do it
Yeah.
one day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Healthy if that's what you want to do. But if that's not what you want to do, we're just going to just focus on the healing and not worry about that. But it just depends. Everybody's different. So
Yeah.
everybody's different. That's just a little compact of what I do. That's just a little compact.
Uh,
So
so, like, in your experience of the three C's, which one tends to be the hardest one for women to embrace and hold on to?
I would say composure.
Composure.
Composure. Because even after they get clarity, sometimes they step back and they don't want to see all that they see. Because it brings stuff up. When you get clarity, you're like, uh-oh, it's not just about what he did, but what I did and what I allowed to happen and all this other stuff. And so they have it, but now they have to compose themselves and like really deal with the situation. So I think the midway is the hardest. I think the midway is the hardest for most women I deal with.
Wow. Okay. It's interesting. So it's you said that you work with high achieving women. What is it about that particular group that makes divorce feel different from your perspective?
Okay, so the biggest thing with them is they have some shame because they're doing the things. They got it all under control in their business. And that's why I made what I do mirror like what they do in business. In business they have it all together and they're ruling the world, making the deals, whatever avenue they're in their business life, they have what they need, and they're afraid to take off that mask and say, hey, I'm vulnerable, I need some help. A lot of women that I deal with, we don't even they don't make it known that they're even getting my help because they just want to stay in control and they don't want their reputation soiled, like they're not able, because it's hard for women in the workplace if anybody see any kind of weakness, what they
Right.
think is weakness. And so I think that's the biggest thing for them, to have a safe space and to be comfortable. And but I want to not just deal with the high end either, just the women. I'm creating in the current like support groups for women that may not have the all with all to get my help, and will
Mhm.
come in. group and talk together. And that's one of the things I'm working on right now. But yeah, high achieving women, they don't want to, I think the biggest thing is they don't want to lose control over their whole
Mhm.
life. They don't want to lose control over their business selves just because their personal life is going through this. And then
Mhm.
they start second guessing themselves in the big arena of even in their business, it's not just their personal life because you lose trust with yourself when you go through divorce sometimes.
Yeah. 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 This resonates. When I got divorced in 2005, so it was a long time ago.
Yeah,
I was
21.
young.
Mhm.
Yeah, 20 years, 21 years ago. I was young, right? And I was working a corporate job, and I was definitely a high achieving person. And yeah, there was a lot of like pretending that everything was okay at work. But I would still talk about it and say, "Yeah, I'm going through a divorce. It's hard." But I was also very like putting on a brave face, you know what I mean?
That's it.
And then also like, and I'm gonna cry on the podcast, which is not the first time. The not like not wanting to share what I was going through with
Yeah.
other people in my circle, because maybe some shame, or maybe some almost like didn't want to be the Debbie Downer. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, because there's so much toxic positivity out there. Everyone is like, "Oh, everything is great, puppies and rainbows," and I am going through a very painful divorce and a major life change. So I can see what you mean. Why it's important. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Cause see, it's been 21 years for you and see how you still, and I say you grieve that person too. You grieve that life. You grieve a lot of things and grief doesn't have any definition.
No.
No,
Yeah. Grief comes back. Like, healing is not linear. That's
no.
something I think we've talked about in another one of my podcast episodes. I think it was 2 episodes ago with Caroline Weineke. We were talking about healing and how it comes in spurts, and you take 3 steps forward, 2 steps back, or that kind of thing. So yeah, no, it definitely resonates, and so you offer that kind of support to women who are going through this. How, like, what, and this because we've talked a bunch, but like, because of filled cups, I'm always emphasizing relationships and friendships as a way for people to not be so alone. Like, how, in your experience, what happens to a woman's friendships and support system during the divorce? Like, does it usually strengthen? Does it shrink? Does it shift? Like, what have you seen happen?
So much. And it depends on what those relationships are grounded in. Because some relationships, to be honest, it's a struggle between the married woman and the single woman. And the couples and the non-couples, there's division all over the place. And especially if that relationship was a couple hanging out with you and your husband and another couple, then who gets who? That
Yeah.
happens so much so sometimes those relationships do not last because of what it is grounded in. But then you have the people that have been through it before, because there's
Hmm.
a lot of people that go through the same thing and they're there for you as support. And sometimes those relationships come back too. I want to say that. But I really think the biggest thing is to find your safe places,
Mm.
to find the people that are not judging you but loving you. I remember when I was going through my divorce, I had a then friend, because we're not friends anymore. She says, "Is your divorce justified?" And I'm like, "Oh, okay."
Wow.
I
Okay.
I knew right there that she wasn't going to be a safe space. So that's what you have to do. You really have to fill out people and don't dwell with them long, because that can hurt you.
Yeah.
learn who your safe space is right away.
Mhm.
It's just like each friend is for different things. Some friends you bake with, some friends you cook with, some friends you go out shopping with. Everybody's for different levels in your life. And that's just how it is when you're going through divorce too. Some people, they believe in staying no matter what. No matter.
Mm.
You really know that that is not the person that's going to love and support you through this situation. Doesn't mean that you got to blacklist them forever, but that's just not your person in this
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. I hadn't thought about that. Is how do you help somebody rebuild a sense of identity when so much of who they were was wrapped in a marriage or a shared life?
That is a hard one. One of the first things I do is I really talk about the individual, because when we're talking, a lot of it's about everybody else. You know, I said, let's have a conversation just all about you. Just tell
Yeah.
me all about you. Let's be totally selfish, and I don't even call it selfish. Let's just be totally focused on you, self-centered. I guess that's the word I was looking for. And about what you like and what you want. And my biggest get I want to say with this statement is women are looking to regain who they used to be, but that's not what I'm looking to teach. I'm looking to say, hey, who are you becoming? Through
Mm,
all the things you've been through, who are you becoming? And so we need to gather that, because some things you do lose when you
yeah.
merge with someone. And some of those things you do want to pick back up. So we got to figure out what you dropped back then that you still want to have right now, and how you want to advance in it. But then you got to think about all the things you've learned and all the things you've been yearning for that you're not doing. 9 times out of 10, a lot of women, they want to do certain things, but because they think maybe they can't do it because of what the spouse would say or do, not support, you know what I'm saying? And so they just drop those things. But think about if you can embrace it, man, you're free now. Who cares that you want to run 5 miles and he thinks that's unsafe to run it or whatever, 6 o'clock in the evening or whatever, you know what I'm saying? It's just
Yeah.
things that you've been hindered from doing. So try those things, you know what I'm saying? Try those things that you have been hindered from doing. Try those things that you left behind that you never want to leave behind, but it didn't fit in your new schedule, your new life. And then discover some new things. Put all things together. And one of the major things, when you make change, like I started listening to I always liked country music a little bit. Like it was a little light for it, but I was a big R&B girl, like 90s R&B. I just love that. And so when I did leave my relationship, and I was tired of hearing all these songs that reminded me, so I was like, let me choose some new music.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. I chose some new music. I chose new like hobbies, you know, different things like that. And I just enjoyed my life in a different way. And
Yeah.
then some of those things I still go back to, and some of those songs don't bother me because I have done stuff to go away from the situation, you know? And it's not about the time, it's about what you do during the time. I want to stress that.
Yeah, I love that. I love, and something that I want to bring up about identity, that I think a lot about identity in different contexts, in the
Mm-hmm.
context of relationships, but also in the context of work. And I realize sometimes it's not just women, probably men too, but I feel like sometimes we don't even know who we are. We're like, I'm a wife, I'm a mother, I'm a director, I'm a podcaster, I'm a whatever, right? I'm a coach or whatever. Like, what if I'm just Fernanda? And
Right.
right?
And what
Like,
does that afford you? What does that mean to just be Fernanda? What does that mean? I know
yeah,
because we talked about this off camera earlier. So my legal given name is Latasha, right?
yes.
So my middle name is Nicole, right? So I'm
Mhm.
Latasha Nicole. And then Bright is the light I want to bring to the world, my light, my shine. So when I first started coaching, I created the brand Nicole Bright because I was writing books at the time and I didn't want my formal name with my then husband's last name on there. And I didn't
Mhm.
change my name because I had my kids. So I'm like, okay, one day I'm gonna get married again. So I'm not gonna go through all the drama of that. But I really wanted the label that represented me. But then fast forward, what, like, I guess 8 years from now, right now. And that's the first time on my website now it does say Latasha, because I'm actually merging the two together. Because I don't have to step out in the Nicole Bright brand to be okay and be something different. Latasha is me, Nicole is me, we are one. And I'm just learning to embrace the identity as one, because I feel like, because I lost so much power in my relationship,
Mm,
I felt like I had to have a whole nother identity to step into some power, right?
mm,
And now I am power, through what I am putting out and what I am blessed to have learned, to be blessed to teach other women. So I just felt like I'm embodying everything. And yeah, Nicole Bright is me, Latasha's me, we're one. And so it's just stepping out to who you truly are, all the talents and gifts that are in me that I choose to express in different ways. That is all me. We're such a big facet. And I think sometimes we put ourselves in such boxes, but there's so much to us. They're pieces of us. So what you want to embrace, what piece you want to embrace right now in this season. What do you want to explore in this season? So it's just about rolling with it. Rolling with it.
yeah. Thank you. That's
Yeah.
really deep and special. Um, One of the questions I didn't get a chance to ask earlier as a follow-up to something you said is about
Okay.
strategic decision making. During You said that during divorce, um, the way you help women think about decisions as if they were like a business decision.
Mhm.
Why do you think that framing matters so much, especially for women who are used to leading in other parts of their lives?
Because when you're making decisions in business, you're not as emotional. You're really seeing the bottom line. So we could take that over into your personal. I think that's totally awesome. We can take and transfer that over. And I know it's not the easiest, but
Yeah,
I'm here to help stabilize you so you can actually see that. So that's one of my purposes. It's one of my purposes. I talked to this lady one day, and I was working my job, and she would come in often just to talk to me, right? She got all these freebies. so so I told her what to do. She was writing the list, she was doing that, and she went away, and she came back months later, and she was like, in real time, that was beautiful, all that you were teaching me. She was like, but it was you were missing. So I couldn't achieve it. And I said, that was the first time I said, oh, that's my effect, my greatness. That's who I am. Don't discount what I bring to the table. I just can't give people this information and they run around and do it. I mean, some people can implement it, but it's nothing like having me there to hold your hand and help you. And I was like, I'm so, like, I guess the word is like humble, right?
yeah,
And I just don't think I'm that, oh, let me just help you this way. And then you just go you know, but
yeah,
I discounted my value. That's the word I'm trying to get to, value. And so I was like, I am valuable in what I do. And so that's what I bring to help them see, this is what you do in business. You can do this in your personal life too. And it's amazing. It's amazing when they see that and they put those identities together, because it's in them to do. Remember that, because they do it already, right?
yeah.
It's in them to do it. And then when they rise up and say, oh my gosh, I can't be stable. So what I did is, for the first time, I put this worksheet. If they go to NicoleBright.com, right? I put this worksheet on my page that gives you 5 different questions where you can pause and think about it. I do that pause and thinking and taking the moment. And this will help you before you send that text, before you make that phone call, before you say that thing. Read this and follow the pattern to see if you really should.
Mm,
Pause and stop. And so it's a worksheet on there if they want to go to NicoleBright.com, and it'll download it for you, and it'll help you with your thinking, your strategic thinking, and thinking ahead and for the future, and applying what you do in business and the personal. It's so important.
I love that. I love that framing. So, Nicole, we're getting to the end of the podcast. Anything else you would like the listeners to know? And please, and when after you say that, like let them know where to find you, and anything you've got going on that you would want them to know about.
So one thing, I just I have a partner now, and we're partnering up, and we're going to be doing something that helps women inside out. So she is a stylist, and she's just not a stylist, but she helps you link up what's going on in your life and your newness of you, and show it on the outside and how you show up in the room.
Is it
And then I
Donna?
help.
Is it Donna?
Yes, it's Kara.
So
Yes.
Donna was in the last episode. So yes, you're partnering with Donna. That's
Oh,
awesome.
did she not ring us out? Did she not shout us out?
No, not because I think we recorded it 3 weeks ago or so. So maybe it was
Oh,
too.
okay. Well, we've been working on this for a moment, but yeah, Donna and I are working together, and we're
Nice.
going to be doing a seminar,
Okay.
which is free of charge, and then we were going to have a whole program after that if you want to hang with us. And
Yeah.
listen, when I learned what Donna did, I was like flabbergasted. Like, I needed her. Another thing I needed, because like I said, I didn't know how to do my hair. I didn't know what I wanted to put on my body because of all that control I allowed the other person to have. And that's not for everybody. I mean, there's other things. There's transitions in life. That's why I say this is not just for divorcees. This is women that are starting a new job. This is women that just had a baby. This is women that are going through different transitions in life that need this. They need clarity, composure, and control. They need Donna to help them show up in the room how they feel on the inside, show it on the outside, all this. And Donna has like a whole little formula thing. Like, it's
Yeah.
just, I took the little test, the little, I don't know what it's called, like a survey or something to figure out what I was and what I wanted. Anyway, she has a whole, and so it's just lovely to partner up with her and do this. So we're going to be doing that. So that's why I said go on Nicole Bright Official on Instagram, or you can go to Facebook, Nicole Bright Official, and start following me because then I'll have more information. But you can also go on NicoleBright.com, put in your information. We'll be forever connected, forever connected. I don't do all those email blasts. Don't feel scared to be forever connected to me. But
Yeah.
I'm here to check up on you. I'm here to have discourse with you, And so I would love for them to go, and even if they don't want to have a free discovery call with me, they just go on that site and get that worksheet. The worksheet will help them. The worksheet will help them. So yeah, so those are 3 ways to stay in contact with me. So yeah, I pop up quite quickly. I'm very happy about that. So yeah, Google Nicole
Nice.
Wright.
Very cool. And I'm very happy to hear that you and Donna are collaborating.
Yes,
I'm a big
same
fan
with
of Donna and what she's doing, so it's gonna be awesome, I'm sure. Um,
yes.
Yeah. So, Nicole, thank you so much for being so generous with your story and your wisdom today and your time. I think what stays with me most is the idea that clarity, composure, and control, they're not things that just happen to us. They're things that we can actually build back on purpose, even in
Mm,
the middle of something as painful as divorce. If you are listening and you're in a season like the one that Nicole described, I hope this conversation reminded you that you don't have to figure it out alone and that you don't have to have it all together to start moving forward with strength. Um, and then you can, I'm gonna, everything that she talked about in terms of her website and her Instagram and Facebook, I'm gonna put it in the show notes. Feel free to reach out to Nicole and continue the conversation. As always, thank you so much for spending time with me. If this episode moves something in you, I'd love for you to share it with a friend who might need to hear it. If you haven't yet, please leave us a review wherever you're listening, like, subscribe, to help more people find these conversations. And until next time, keep filling your cup and staying connected.